Welcome to another edition of the End Zone along with Cameron Johnson. I am Colby Daniels. What a big week in the sports world. Yep. We just passed the NBA trade deadline, which we're going to talk about quite a bit. The Super Bowl is coming up this weekend. College basketball is really starting to make that run toward March Madness. I mean, it is a ton of fun right now. Oh, yeah, and there's college football news always in this new era. Yep. So there's a lot to pay attention to right now.
Yeah, and don't forget softball starting up too.
That's right.
Baseball
That's right.
Next week. I mean, we're really getting to the meat of the spring. Or is it spring or winter sports? I don't know, but.
Yes.
You know.
The answer is yes.
The time where you have like 10 different sports all on the same day. It's a good time.
It's like the sports equinox, right? Or whatever they call it, something like that.
Yep.
But
yeah,
it's a ton of fun. You know, I was thinking about last year's NBA trade deadline and the whole Luka Doncic thing and just how crazy that situation was, to the point that I thought it was a like bot or a fake account. I think everybody on social media thought the Shams tweet was a fake tweet, and everybody's double checking to make sure that's really his account. Nothing this go round was going to surpass that, obviously, but they almost got me, because on Wednesday, as I'm watching Shams tweet trade after trade after trade, he sends a tweet that says, Oklahoma City Thunder guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and for a split second, I thought, no way, this can't be real. And then I saw it was the injury news, which we'll talk about in just a bit. But I almost had the I can't believe this is happening 2 years in a row moment.
Your blood runs cold for like just a split second. You're like, oh my gosh. I mean, who would have thought that it's like, oh, thank goodness, it's just an injury.
It's just an injury. He wasn't trained. That's right. That's right. Although I think most people read that and panicked, like, oh my gosh, is this serious? I kind of had the opposite reaction because of, I guess, where my mind frame was. But speaking of the NBA trade deadline, OKC did make a move. Sam Presti pulling the strings, as he always does, definitely helped the roster, especially when you consider all the injuries this team currently is dealing with. They got 21-year-old second-year pro out of from Philadelphia, out of Duke, Jared McCain. They gave up a 2026 first-round pick that originally belonged to the Houston Rockets, a 2027 second-round pick, and two 2028 second-round picks to get a guy that I think is absolutely going to help them.
I 100% agree, especially you look at, this year he was coming off an injury, had a little bit of a rockier start, but recently his shooting's seen an uptick. He's, especially from three-point range, the Thunder a little bit more struggling with that this year. So to bring in a guy like that and to hopefully make an immediate impact and then not have to give up a crazy ton of anything, I think just, to me, I love everything about the move.
No doubt. Jalen Williams, after the Spurs game, was asked about the trade and Jared McCain.
Great player, of course. Great shooter. I honestly haven't watched a lot of 76er games this season, so I don't know what this season's looked like. But I know from last season he was one of the front-runner rookies or whatever it was. And I know he's a great player. Great chemistry. I'm sure I'm getting tagged in a bunch of stuff saying we're going to make TikToks together or whatever it is. But I know he's a fun guy to be around, kind of from what I've heard around the league. And I don't remember when it was, but sometime in Vegas, me, him, and Wiggs were in the elevator together, and we were just chatting, and he was a cool dude from then, and I'm sure he's going to be a really cool guy.
Yeah, so there you go. I mean, I think in terms of his personality fitting in with this Thunder group, it should be seamless. I mean, this is a team that I think is so well-rounded. When you talk about needs, you have to kind of understand what you're actually talking about. But, I mean, every team in the league could use a three-point shooter, and this guy has shot 38% 2 years in a row.
And I think, as I kind of already mentioned, too, it's like financially speaking, it's not the most expensive move, and that's going to come into play.
It's a cheap deal.
It's a cheap deal, and honestly, I would go to say it might be a steal. But
steal, absolutely, from a financial standpoint, 100%.
And so you look in, short term being this summer, you've got extensions kicking in for the likes of, Chet and Jalen Williams. You don't have, that helps you kind of keep, if you have to part ways with some other players, you still have a good playmaker there that's arguably going to be an easier, fit into the system than, a draft pick might be. Yeah. So I think everything about the move is something to be excited for.
He's only 21. He only played 23 games his rookie season before he had a meniscus tear in his knee. there was a stretch where Paul George was not playing for Philadelphia, and he started, I think, 8 games, had an 8-game stretch where he was averaging 25 points a game. Unfortunately, he gets hurt and isn't able to capitalize on that momentum. Started this season with an injury, and it's not really been able to get back on track, but I think has enormous upside for a deal that the Thunder would control 2 club options for the next 2 seasons. He's 21. I mean, this was a no-brainer if you're going to add anything. I mean, you're not bringing in a superstar, right? So if you're just going to add a role player, I think this one was a no-brainer. Unfortunately, we talked about SGA. He suffered an abdominal strain and is going to be out through the All-Star break, if not longer. We don't know the timeline. He's out indefinitely, but this is an interesting one. It's an interesting injury that's not necessarily easy to come back from, but he's a guy that has been so consistent in terms of staying healthy that you hate to see him go out. But also the workload, I think, right now, with the number of injuries they had, wasn't going to benefit him in the long term. So even if you're just playing it cautious with this thing and letting him sit for a couple weeks through the All-Star break, that might be a good thing.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. And it's interesting all season long. You mentioned the consistency with staying healthy. You've seen all of these different rotations due to injuries, and the Thunder still find a way to pull it off, and it's because of him. So now that he goes down, granted, that game against the Spurs, I thought for them to
all
make
5
it,
starters are out.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. The shot of the bench they showed during the San Antonio game, it's like, shoo, man, they're going through it. But yeah, for them to still, like, I know it's just that one game, but for them to still kind of keep it respectable, it shows. I think they'll be okay, but obviously, in a perfect world, you have all of them back.
The Thunder injury report showed 10 guys out for the San Antonio game on Wednesday night. Obviously, Ousmane Dieng ultimately was traded, but to have that number of players, regardless of whether it's the stars or not, is going to be massively impactful. And for Oklahoma City to be without all 5 starters, not to mention crucial playmakers like Alex Caruso and A.J. Mitchell, you got to just take your hat off. And I know Mark Daigneault said we don't take any moral victories after they lost, but you got to take your hat off to the guys that did take the floor in San Antonio and played their hearts out. Speaking of Ousmane Dieng, before we take a break, he's had a wild 24 to 48 hours. Started Wednesday as a member of the Oklahoma City Thunder, was traded to the Charlotte Hornets, was then traded to the Chicago Bulls, and then was traded to the Milwaukee Bucks, if I have my NBA trade math correct. So he's been a member of 4 teams in like the last 24 hours, and I guess he'll be a teammate of Giannis now. If you had told me Ousmane Dieng was going to be a teammate of Giannis, I probably thought the Thunder had made the move.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Dieng ends up in Milwaukee, so best of luck to him, and I can't imagine, I guess, making travel arrangements to Charlotte and then Chicago and then Milwaukee. So what a wild time it is when you're a player and you go into the NBA trade deadline. All right, we've got to take a timeout. Oklahoma State head coach Eric Morris met with the media earlier this week. Exciting times in Stillwater. That's next. Welcome back to the End Zone along with Cameron Johnson. I am Colby Daniels. We've got to talk some Oklahoma State football, and especially the transfer portal. Much like the NBA trade deadline, the transfer portal is very chaotic. There's an emotional roller coaster, I think, involved with it when you see your team potentially getting somebody, but maybe your team also losing somebody. Eric Morris and Oklahoma State have been among the best in the portal this portal cycle. I think depending on what service you look at that ranks portal classes, I mean, they were anywhere from number 5 to number 10, I think, nationally. They just did a killer job overhauling what was a roster that hadn't won a conference game in 2 years. And hats off to them, and there's got to be a ton of excitement around that building.
Absolutely. And I know, I mean, you bring in your big name players like Drew Mestamaker out of North Texas, but when we heard from Eric Morris on, Tuesday, it was interesting to hear him talk about how they really wanted to get, just from freshman to senior, players who had played meaningful football.
That's right.
So that kind of like we were talking about with Jared McCain, someone who can just come in and not have to, lack in that experience and just can come in and make an immediate impact. So I think a lot of Oklahoma State fans are probably like, I wish we could just play today. And thankfully you get a little bit of spring football, but it's not the same.
Yeah. Now that I think he looked relieved to kind of have the portal stuff behind him and start focusing on actually like putting this team together and putting a product on the field. And he talked about building relationships being the launching point for that entire process.
The one thing that I made really, really clear and evident in my very first team meeting here is when I got into this room right here, like all 21 of the North Texas people were all sitting, on one side, and then we had everybody else over here. So before I even started getting into anything, I made everybody stand up, and everybody had to sit by somebody they didn't know in this room. So, like, this is not North Texas, and this is the last time I'm going to talk actually about North Texas, just because this is all about 2026, the Oklahoma State Cowboy football team, and our identity is starting to be built right now. We've done nothing that we've done in the past is going to translate us winning games in the Big 12, and I know that, and so we have to continue to build what this room's identity is going to be this year, and they're going to be a big part of it, and they're going to help bring it all together. Luckily, my family's not here yet, and so I moved into my house about a week and a half ago. I have a mattress. I have one towel that I took from here so that I can shower there, and I went by and bought a case of water, and I have a TV that's on the floor, and so that's all that I have in my house right now. So there's nothing to go home to, and so this is a great opportunity for me to spend just a ton of time up here.
There you go. I love the fact that he's kind of putting the North Texas stuff out of sight, out of mind. You don't want to lean on that and the success you had there, because this is going to be a completely different animal. As he's talking about his house, I thought he was talking about my first apartment at one point, just having a television, a mattress. Only instead of a case of water, I probably had a case of beer. But yeah, you know how that goes. But he's excited about the job. I think Oklahoma State fans are excited to have this new era of football. And as he talks about his plans for the spring, it definitely feels like a new era of Oklahoma State football.
We'll have some open practices. Obviously just getting the lay of the land and figuring out, when we're doing certain things. I think, we'll do one scrimmage on the same day that we have the boys from Oklahoma thing here, and obviously won't be able to use the Boone Pickens for that scrimmage. Plan on having a spring game. I think on the 18th, so a bunch of information to come out on that stuff. But, we want to be visible. We want you guys to be able to come in there and see us. Obviously, I'm not a big secret guy, and we don't do a ton. We game plan quite a bit. And so we'll be pretty vanilla, just trying to get really good at fundamentals and our base things during the course of this spring. So, yeah, not all of them will be open, but there will be great opportunities for people to come out and see us build this and get behind us, right?
There you go. What is an open practice? I've never heard that term used before in the state of Oklahoma. Are you familiar with that?
Kind of, yeah. I mean,
okay.
So at Arkansas, they would do similar deals, and it ultimately felt more like just watching a scrimmage.
Yeah.
I mean, so
yeah.
I think it was just more so a practice that's not in, I don't know, maybe that was just an Arkansas thing. But, yeah, I think just to be able to come in and see the more mundane, or
I mean, most college football coaches are just so paranoid and secretive about everything. Opening anything up to anybody, it just feels like is so taboo with every coach that when he started talking about that, I just laughed and thought 90% of coaches are just the 180-degree opposite of that perspective. And I think fans enjoy a spring game regardless of what you actually get out of it. I think fans do enjoy having that spring event to celebrate that kind of marks, the dawn of a new football season, so to speak.
Everyone wants to watch football as soon as they can.
That's right. All right, we've got a Super Bowl edition of Smash or Punt next here on the End Zone. All right, welcome back. It is time for a Super Bowl edition of Smash or Punt. The big game is this weekend, New England versus Seattle. So these are all going to be topics involving the game itself and maybe some of the interesting prop bets over this football game. Instead of smash or punt for at least the first one, we're going to go smash or pass. So hypothetical, what will the Seahawks do if they have the ball on the 1-yard line? History repeating itself. Smash or pass?
Oh, goodness. So are you saying...
Are they going to run it or are they going to throw it?
Okay. Now, I know Sam Darnold answered that question, but I think Man, you gotta smash.
Smash all the way. You lost a
I
Super
know.
Bowl by throwing it on
Yeah.
the 1 yard line.
And Sam Darnold saying pass the other
Yeah,
day.
well,
I was
he's a
like,
quarterback,
Yeah,
you
I
know.
get it,
Yeah.
but I know that was
Yeah.
some controversy.
Smash all the way, though.
Yes.
You can't repeat history,
No.
especially in that way. It cost them a Super Bowl, for crying out loud. Okay, 63 pass attempts, more than 63 pass attempts between Sam Darnold and Drake May on this. Smash or punt?
Trying to think what their average is now. I'm gonna say it'll be close. I'm
That's
gonna
why I picked that number.
Okay, I'm gonna say smash.
Okay, smash for me as well. I think both guys are going to air it out for sure. More than 45 points scored in this game. Smash or punt?
I'm gonna say punt. I don't. Oh,
Okay.
hold on. Let me break it down. Think of your hypothetical scores. I'm gonna say punt still.
Okay. I'm going to go punt as well. I think
Okay.
it's going to be just under, but
Yeah.
it's going to be right up to that line.
Yeah.
Like, I think my total is 42. Former Oklahoma Sooner running back Ramondre Stevenson
Mm-hmm.
will score a touchdown on Sunday.
I'm just gonna be optimistic. I'm gonna say smash. I think.
I think that's the right answer.
Well,
I mean,
you
he
always
gets
make
the-
me doubt myself when you
He gets
pause.
the goal line carries for New England, right? I mean, obviously they have a breakout type player with Travion Henderson, the rookie out of Ohio State, but Ramondre Stevenson is the physical running back, and if they get inside the 5 yard line, I think you've got to feel like he's getting a couple of opportunities there. All right, let's go to some of the exotic
Oh boy.
prop bets for the game this weekend. Either J-Lo or Shakira will appear in the Bad Bunny halftime show. Smash or punt?
Because he was in theirs.
That's
He
right.
Showed up in
That's
that.
right. So will he return the favor?
I'm gonna say punt. More likely, I feel like you'd see a Cardi B show up.
Okay. Well,
But
I think
there's
she's
no-
going to be there too.
Yeah. Okay. There's no saying it can. I'm gonna say punt.
but- okay. Give me smash. One
Okay.
of the two at least will be involved in his halftime
Okay.
show. And I think you just. It's all about bringing big stars, right?
Yeah,
Like that's kind of
yeah.
what it's become. So, speaking of Cardi B, she has a baby daddy named Stephon Diggs who's playing in this game. Cardi B will be wearing a Diggs jersey at the game.
Ooh. Smash. I don't know.
I think she's going to be too bougie
Well,
on
I
this
feel like
type
she
of
could
stage.
find a way to.
And
yeah.
I will punt that one. I think she's going to be wearing something else. All right, in the broadcast, they will show a shot of the Golden Gate Bridge before Alcatraz.
Yes, smash.
Okay,
Yes.
smash for me as
I
well.
think that might be the opening shot.
Probably the opening shot. Completely agree. All right, we got to wrap this thing up, but
Okay.
what's your Super Bowl pick?
I don't. This is one of those games where I'm like, I could see it go either way. Ultimately, I'm gonna go the NFC route. Just back the.
Okay.
As a Cowboys,
All
I'm
right.
gonna go NFC.
I agree. I think it's going to be Seahawks, but I think, like everybody, we're just hoping for a great game. All right, it is the closing argument with Noble McIntyre next here on The End Zone. All right, welcome back one final time. It is time for the closing argument with Noble McIntyre. I'm Colby Daniels. They say great minds think alike, and
Yeah.
we are usually aligned in these, so we'll see if that continues today. The College Football Playoff has decided they're going to extend the 12-team model for one more year before they figure out if they're going to expand this thing to 16 or 24 or 36 or who knows, 64 like the NCAA tournament. But what is the future of the College Football Playoff, or what should be the future of the College Football Playoff in terms of number of teams included?
Look, I'm not even sure I was happy with going to 12. I think 12 is plenty. It's big enough that it does away with the argument that we got snubbed, unless you're Notre Dame, who can't even pick a conference. But it's small enough that the regular season still actually matters. You get to 16, 24, and above that, it's just March Madness with shoulder pads and helmets. And I don't want that. I want the regular season to matter for something.
I think you're spot on in terms of the regular season mattering. The problem with 12 is the teams that get a bye, I think, are at a massive disadvantage, and the win-loss column has shown that. They take a month off between games, and the teams that have gotten the bye lose in the first round that they play. So I think if you go to 16, you're only adding 4 more teams, and everybody still plays, I think, the same number of postseason games. Oklahoma easily could have been on the other side of getting in this year, and Notre Dame potentially gets in. We saw Miami as the last team in. They ultimately go to the championship game. I don't think 16 waters down the regular season, but 24 might.
You know, maybe you could get me there on expansion if Notre Dame would pick a conference. Pick a conference or pick the couch. One of the two. You do that, I'll go with you on 16, but not above 16.
The other problem is I think not all conferences, to your point, are created equal.
Right.
So you have these guaranteed bids from other conferences where you may play 6 juggernauts over the course of your 12-game schedule, and it should probably be weighted a little heavier. Give us your thoughts. The college football playoff expansion, what should it look like in the future? That is Noble McIntyre. I'm Colby Daniels. We'll do it again next week.